How did you get over suicidal thoughts? Serious? Never been severely depressed, but thought crossed my mind. I just think about all the people I'd hurt if I actually did it. I don't want to cause that much suffering to friends and family, so I start thinking about how I can become a better person. Saw a psychologist, therapy, and took some pills. Still not great, but better than before. Also, getting enough sleep and exercise helps. Group therapy and medication. All the people who bullied me into misery will likely milk my death for sympathy and act like my BFF. So it's better to live and annoy them more and keep on being a better person than a bully. Went to the hospital, got medications. But that's not what does it. It's the phone calls in the hospital. Honestly, the more you get, the more you feel loved, the shorter your visit. I thought about how much it hurt me to lose my girlfriend when she killed herself. The long nights I spent thinking of what I could have done, thinking it was my fault, hating myself. I thought of all the pain that put me through, and thought about how my parents would feel, my brothers, especially my twin. I decided that until all of them are out of my life, then I will consider suicide again. Not until then. As for the thoughts, and I don't recommend this, but if you can't deal with the thoughts anymore, try to change the words. When I'd think I hate myself, or I did something or remembered something I hated, I think the phrase I'm bored or I'm just tired. When I thought about killing myself, or had the thought or urge to say I want to shoot/kill myself, I'd replace it with I want/need a nap, or again I'm tired. To the point that every time it would cross my mind or I subconsciously say it, it would be the new phrase instead, allowing me to cope and not feel so bad about wanting to kill myself even more, making me hate myself more, so on and so forth. I don't recommend this because later on it makes it harder to acknowledge and get help, or even to help yourself, and in my case caused me to have an identity crisis by pretending, lying to myself to the point that when I finally decided to get help, I didn't recognize the person I was nor the person I pretended to be. But I don't regret it because it got me through a stage of my life where I didn't think I'd last another week. I started having suicidal ideation and depression at 7. I'm 38 now. Dealing with it has come in stages. Adolescence, journaling, therapy, risky behavior that got me closer to death, but ultimately the trick was visualizing my folks' agony at my death. 20s, self-medicating with drugs and alcohol, therapy along with trying every antidepressant available. By 28, I finally found the one that didn't make me feel disgusting and off, had zero noticeable side effects, and worked perfectly to control my SI. When you try meds, don't stop at the first one, don't let your MD make you settle on something that doesn't feel right, keep trying, every psyche is different. 30s, stayed on my meds. Until I decided I wanted a kid, and they didn't go well with pregnancy, so I quit them about 1.5 years before I got preggers, and in that time since, I've discovered that I've just sort of figured out how to deal with the depression better without drugs/meds/alcohol. It feels kind of miraculous. I never believed the line "it'll get better," considering how constantly bad I felt about being alive, but, around my mid-30s, it actually did. Imagine that. Good luck, matey. I was going to turn right, but I kept on going straight. I had to turn around to get where I was going, but I was too miserable to think clearly. Just realized that it isn't worth putting my family and friends through any grief or pain if I were to think about it or go through it, just learned to live with it and try to replace those thoughts with other stuff. Attending the funeral of a friend that hung himself. Watching his 8-year-old sister sob over his body. It sounds messed up, but in taking his life, he saved mine. No matter how depressed I've been since then, I cannot bear the thought of what taking my life would do to those I love. I realized how much I like. I was suicidal from probably 16 to 28. How I avoided it, but I did. I really just woke up every day and did the things I thought were important, be nice to people, work harder than everyone, and learn. Those were the only things I knew to be true. I probably woke up every day for 6 to 8 years thinking about killing myself. Never actually got as close as trying to buy a gun or anything. But I was very unhappy for a very long time. But those 3 truths kept me going. And those 3 truths slowly improved my life. Eventually enough to say, you know what, you aren't so bad. Eventually found my confidence. But there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not glad my mother embedded those 3 things into me. Otherwise I'd be dead. Understand it's not your choice to make. For example, who am I to decide if my mother's son or my best man's friend should die? Not your call. Whenever I feel this way, I find something absolutely love doing. There are many different things, as here are many different types of people. For me it's gaming. I just hope online with people who have no frigging idea why I am and just jam some Destiny for a few hours or until I feel better. It's my light in the dark. Also gardening I find very therapeutic when I'm feeling below the line. TLDR, find something you love that gets you back from that dark place. I don't know how I've never had suicidal thoughts considering how hopeless everything feels, but if I did, I think the thing that would prevent me from doing anything about it is that it would remind people that I existed, and the idea that I'd be occupying spaces in people's minds weirds me out. I don't think I ever would have done it just because the thoughts scared me too much. I did cut on my lower thigh for about a month at a time through high school. When I got set up with a girl for prom by a few friends, things got better. But everything changed when I moved in with her, and out of the room I sent so much beating and cutting myself. I began to see my parents as just regular people doing their best. I still resent my dad for his best, but I love him and we talk and see each other often. Really seeing my parents as people and not overlords that I had to please was the ticket. It also helped that once I graduated they felt they had done their part, and kind of left the rest up to me. Didn't pry into my daily activities or ask me every minute if I was okay. TLDR, graduated high school, moved out, saw my parents as regular people, and they gave space to be on my own. The thing about being an emotionally repressed but fundamentally logical person is that I can't help but weigh the pros and cons, and can't find a single upside of taking my own life. At those times I just think of the pain I'd cause the ones who care for me, and immediately I snap out of it. Nowadays it's never the suicidal thoughts that get me, mostly because I'm too numb to be afflicted by most things. Life is just very much just colorless, not exceedingly good, nor exceedingly bad. Edit, grammar here and there. I didn't. I have accepted it as war with myself, and those thoughts are my enemy. Sometimes I can sneak behind him and knock him out for the day. Some days he gets the jump on me instead. Sometimes we're both sleeping in the trenches. Occasionally I run out of ammo and have to call an artillery strike from my friends. Smoked weed. Well, I wouldn't suggest this course of action, but I put a bullet in the revolver, spun the chamber around, put the gun up to my head and promised myself that if I lived I was going to do all the things I felt I needed to try and be happy, but I hadn't before for any number of reasons. And that I would never try in any way to kill myself again. And then I pulled the trigger. Obviously I'm still here. And I made some changes, and I felt genuinely happy for a bit. It didn't end up lasting, but it's better than it was back then. So if I were to give advice on it, I would just say do whatever it is you might be scared to do, give it all a shot, and if you haven't, you're still unhappy, then the option is still open for you. I just bite the bullet when they swing by. I just repeat to myself, these thoughts are just gonna get me permanently stuck in this feeling. Gotta keep going. Lots and lots of medication, and then you try to come off it and it all comes back. I don't think I would ever commit suicide, but I was recently extremely depressed. I quit my job that I hated, and now I have a new one lined up that should pay more and suck less. Identify what makes you the most upset and change that. Didn't really. Mostly, struggled on. And mostly they're not there anymore. Mostly. I'm not sure whether I've ever truly been suicidal, but I have been through a pretty rough patch.